My child, stop. Do not make this decision while fear is speaking this loudly. I am your Lord, and I need you to hear me before you move. You may feel as though something must happen now. You may believe you need to go back because the loneliness has become too heavy. You may feel pressured to say yes because you are afraid this opportunity will disappear. Or perhaps you are choosing silence because the thought of rejection feels more painful than hiding what is true. But my child, listen carefully. I am not telling you that the choice in front of you is automatically wrong. I am asking you to examine what is making the choice. Is it wisdom? Or is it fear trying to escape discomfort? Sometimes panic can sound like certainty. Sometimes loneliness can make familiarity feel like direction. Sometimes scarcity can convince you that what is available must be what you need. And sometimes fear of rejection can make silence feel safer than truth. Beloved, do not confuse relief with guidance. A decision that makes anxiety disappear for one moment can still cost you peace for much longer. That is why I am asking you to pause. Not forever. Not because you are weak, but because wisdom deserves enough space to speak before fear chooses for you. You do not have to solve everything in this moment. You do not have to manufacture certainty just because uncertainty makes you uncomfortable. I am your Lord. Bring me the fear before you bring me the decision. And right now, my child, I want you to make one simple declaration of faith. Write these 3 words in the comments. I choose wisdom. Choose the words that are honest for your heart. Let them become your declaration. Lord, I will not let panic decide for me. Stay with me. Because before you ask me which choice is right, there is something deeper you need to see. What part of you is trying to choose right now? My child, I see the decision you keep circling. I see how many times you have returned to the same question. One moment you believe you know what to do. Then fear rises again, and suddenly everything feels uncertain. You look at the message again. You imagine what might happen if you say yes. You imagine what might happen if you say no. You picture yourself walking away, then wonder if you will regret it. You think about speaking honestly, but the possibility of rejection makes you pull back. Beloved, I am not disappointed in you because you are uncertain. I am your Lord. You do not have to manufacture certainty just to prove that you trust me. Sometimes your deepest faith is not having an immediate answer. Sometimes it is being willing to remain close to me while the answer is still becoming clear. I know what you have been carrying beneath this decision. You are tired of wondering, tired of waiting, tired of feeling as though one wrong move could change everything. And part of you believes that if you could simply decide, the pressure would finally stop. But my child, that is exactly what I want you to notice. Are you reaching for the right choice? Or are you reaching for relief? There is a difference. Perhaps you are considering going back because being alone feels heavier tonight. Perhaps you are close to accepting something because you are afraid another opportunity may never come. Or maybe you already know what needs to be said, but you keep swallowing the words because you fear what honesty might cost you. I see all of it, and I see the fear underneath it. You do not need to hide that fear from me. Bring it closer. Tell me the truth. Lord, I am afraid of losing this. Lord, I am afraid that of being alone. Lord, I am afraid that if I wait, I will miss my chance. Beloved, honesty with me is safer than pretending you are at peace when panic is quietly directing you. So before you make another move, I want you to ask me for what your heart truly needs. Write these 3 words in the comments. Peace, clarity, wisdom. Let them become your prayer. Lord, give me peace before I choose, clarity before I move, and wisdom before fear speaks for me. And if this is the decision of your heart, like this message as a simple expression that you want faith, not panic, to shape what comes next. Share it with someone who may also be standing between fear and an important decision. and subscribe if you want to continue walking with me through prayer, truth, healing, and discernment. These actions do not earn my favor or guarantee a particular outcome. They are simply a way of saying, Lord, I want to keep turning toward you. My child, stay close. Because there is a reason this decision feels so urgent. You may think you are only trying to choose what is right, but underneath the decision, something else may be happening. You may be trying to use a choice to make an emotion disappear. And until you see that clearly, fear can keep disguising itself as direction. My child, now I want you to look beneath the decision, not at the option in front of you, not at what someone else is asking, not even at what you think you should do. Look beneath it, because sometimes the real struggle is not choosing between two directions. Sometimes the real struggle is that you are trying to use a decision to make an emotion disappear. You are tired of feeling uncertain. You are tired of waking up with the same question. You are tired of carrying the tension of not knowing what comes next. And after enough days of that pressure, almost any decision can begin to feel better than no decision at all. Beloved, that is where you must become careful. Because relief can feel very similar to clarity when you have been anxious for too long. You imagine saying yes, and for a moment the pressure leaves. You imagine going back, and the loneliness becomes quieter. You imagine saying nothing, and suddenly you no longer have to face the possibility of rejection. That temporary relief can make you think, this must be the right choice. But my child, I am your Lord, and I want you to learn the difference between a choice that brings temporary escape and a choice that can carry peace after the emotion settles. Perhaps loneliness has been speaking loudly. You remember the warmth, the conversations, the familiar voice, the feeling of having someone there. And when the evening becomes quiet, the reasons you stepped away can begin to feel less important than the ache of being alone. You may tell yourself, maybe I was too hard. Maybe I should just reach out. Beloved, I am not telling you never to reconnect. I am asking you to notice why the desire becomes strongest when loneliness becomes strongest. Would you want the same thing after your heart became settled? Would you still choose it if you were not afraid of spending another night alone? That is worth knowing before you move. For someone else, it is not loneliness. It is scarcity. An opportunity is in front of you, and suddenly your mind begins saying, what if this is my only chance? You notice concerns, but you explain them away. You feel uncertainty, but you are afraid to ask more questions. You know you need time, yet the thought of losing the opportunity makes patience feel dangerous. My child, scarcity has a way of turning available into necessary. It can make you accept what you would normally examine more carefully. It can make you lower a boundary simply because you fear there may not be another door. But an opportunity does not become right merely because you are afraid of losing it. And then there is the fear of rejection. Maybe you already know what needs to be said. There is a boundary you need to communicate, a concern you need to raise, a truth you have been swallowing. But every time you imagine speaking, another thought comes, what if they pull away? What if they think I am difficult? So you remain quiet. You call it patience. You call it keeping the peace. But somewhere inside, resentment is slowly growing because your silence is costing you something. Beloved, silence can sometimes be wise. But silence chosen only because you are terrified of rejection is not the same as peace. Do you see the pattern? Loneliness says, go back. Scarcity says, take it now. Fear of rejection says, say nothing. Different situations, the same deeper movement. Fear is trying to make the decision because fear wants relief. My child, this is why your thoughts may have been moving so quickly. You keep checking the phone. You replay possibilities. You ask yourself the same question 10 different ways and hope one version will finally remove the anxiety. Maybe you ask several people for advice, but even after they answer, you still feel compelled to ask someone else. You are not necessarily searching for more information anymore. You may be searching for certainty, and certainty is something life does not always give before a decision. Beloved, notice another sign. Your answer changes with your emotional state. In the morning, when you feel stronger, you think, "I know what I need to do." At night, when loneliness or fear becomes heavier, the same decision suddenly looks completely different. That does not automatically mean either answer is wrong. It means your emotional condition is influencing what looks convincing. That is why I am asking you to slow down. I am not trying to keep you stuck. I am trying to help you hear clearly. I am your Lord. I do not need you to make yourself certain before you come to me. Bring me the contradiction. Bring me the part of you that wants to go back and the part that remembers why you left. Bring me the part that wants the opportunity and the part that still has questions. Bring me the truth you want to speak and the fear that someone may reject you for saying it. You do not have to hide one side of the struggle to make the other side sound more spiritual. Let me meet you in the whole truth. My child, sometimes the question you have been asking is, what should I do? But there may be another question you need first. What am I trying not to feel? Are you trying not to feel lonely? Are you trying not to feel left behind? Are you trying not to feel rejected? Are you trying not to sit inside uncertainty one more day? Beloved, there is no shame in admitting that. You are human. You want relief. You want resolution. You want something to become settled. But a decision made primarily to numb discomfort can create a new kind of discomfort later. You may say yes just to silence scarcity, and then discover that you ignored what mattered. You may go back just to silence loneliness and find yourself inside the same unresolved pattern. You may remain silent to avoid rejection and gradually lose your peace because you abandoned something true inside you. This is why the condition of your heart matters. Not because you must feel perfectly peaceful before every decision. You will not. Sometimes wise choices are still difficult. Sometimes the right conversation still makes your heart beat faster. Sometimes saying no still hurts. Sometimes saying yes still requires courage. Peace does not always mean the absence of emotion. It means fear is no longer the only voice at the table. My child, ask yourself something simple. If the anxiety became quiet for 1 hour, what would remain? If loneliness softened, would you still want to return? If you knew another opportunity could exist someday, would you still say yes to this one? If rejection could not define your worth, what truth would you finally be willing to speak? Do not force the answers. Just notice what rises. Beloved, this is discernment. It is not magic. It is not waiting for a dramatic sign. It is becoming honest enough to recognize what is driving you. And before we go deeper, I want you to pray one simple prayer with me. Write these 6 words in the comments. Lord, reveal what is driving me. Do not write them because you already know the answer. Write them because you are willing to see it. Let them become your surrender. Lord, if loneliness is choosing, show me. If scarcity is choosing, show me. If fear of rejection is choosing, show me. And then become quiet enough to notice. My child, there is another layer beneath all of this. You may think you are afraid of making the wrong choice, but perhaps something even deeper is true. Perhaps you have become so exhausted by uncertainty that you are beginning to fear uncertainty itself more than you fear a decision made too quickly. And that hidden fear is where I want to meet you next. My child, there is something deeper beneath your urgency. You are not only afraid of making the wrong choice, you are afraid of remaining uncertain. You want the question settled. You want the waiting to end. You want to wake up tomorrow without feeling divided between 2 directions. Beloved, I understand why that is exhausting. Uncertainty asks you to live without complete control. After carrying that tension long enough, almost any decision can begin to feel better than no decision at all. That is why I want you to see this clearly. Sometimes you are not choosing because you truly want what is in front of you. Sometimes you are choosing because you desperately want the uncertainty to stop. You tell yourself, I just need to decide. But underneath may be another truth. I do not know how much longer I can feel like this. My child, I see that part of you. Perhaps waiting has hurt you before. Maybe you hesitated or trusted someone to stay and they left. So somewhere inside, you formed a rule. Never wait too long again. That rule may have been trying to protect you from regret. But an old wound should not automatically make a new decision. Not every pause means you are repeating the past. Not every delay means something valuable will disappear. Beloved, this is why last chance can have so much power over you. Scarcity changes the way you see. When something appears limited, fear can make it feel more valuable. When someone begins pulling away, you may feel a stronger need to hold on. Then fear asks, what if nothing else comes? My child, I am your Lord. I do not condemn you for being afraid. I know how disappointment can teach the heart to think in scarcity. After enough loss, you can stop asking, what is wise? And begin asking, what can I keep from losing? Maybe part of your confusion is not that you cannot see what matters. You notice the concern that keeps returning and the boundary you keep negotiating away. One option may give immediate relief, but not deeper peace. Then fear interrupts. Yes, but what if there is nothing better? Beloved, sometimes confusion is what happens when truth and fear are pulling in opposite directions. One part of you senses what wisdom may require. Another part is afraid of what that wisdom could cost. Maybe wisdom means waiting. Maybe it means saying no. Maybe it means telling the truth and allowing someone to be disappointed. Maybe it means remaining alone a little longer instead of returning simply because loneliness has become painful. My child, ask yourself gently, are you afraid of making the wrong choice? Or are you afraid of what the wiser choice may require you to feel? Those are not always the same fear. You may already suspect what deserves more examination. But slowing down may mean facing an empty space, disappointing someone, or living without immediate reassurance. And somewhere inside, you whisper, Lord, I do not know if I can carry that. Beloved, perhaps this is the prayer you have been afraid to admit. Lord, I do not know whether I want this. I am just afraid of what happens if I do not choose it. Stay there for a moment. Do not rush past that honesty. I would rather meet you in the truth than watch you force yourself into certainty because you think faith means never feeling afraid. I am your Lord. You do not need to hide the fear from me before I can guide you. Maybe beneath the fear of saying no is the fear of emptiness. If you release what is available, what will fill the space? Maybe beneath the fear of speaking honestly is the fear of abandonment. If you tell them what you truly need, will they still stay? This is how fear can teach you to negotiate against yourself. You become quieter, more agreeable, more willing to overlook what troubles your heart because belonging feels too precious to risk. But my child, I do not want you to build peace by disappearing. I want you to understand what is driving you. That is where discernment begins. There may also be old regret beneath your urgency. Maybe you once waited too long, or perhaps you moved too quickly and paid for it. Now the past tries to become the counselor for every new choice. Beloved, learn from it. What happened then can give you wisdom. It does not get to decide what happens now. And beneath even that regret, there may be something more tender. You may not trust yourself to survive another disappointment. That is why you want the right answer so badly. You are not only looking for a good outcome, you are looking for protection from pain. Part of your heart may be saying, I cannot handle another heartbreak. I cannot start over again. Beloved, I know why those words feel true. You have already carried disappointments that change the way you approach hope. There are losses that made you more cautious. So now you want certainty before you move. But my child, wisdom will not always give you a guarantee. Sometimes it gives you something quieter, enough clarity for the next faithful step. You may not know how another person will respond or what opportunity exists months from now, but you can become honest about what is driving you today. And that honesty is where fear begins losing its disguise. Beloved, I am not asking you to enjoy uncertainty. I am asking you not to treat uncertainty as an emergency. Not knowing yet can be uncomfortable without meaning something is wrong. Needing more clarity does not mean you lack faith. My child, you do not have to escape every uncomfortable emotion the moment it appears. You can feel lonely without immediately returning. You can fear losing an opportunity without immediately saying yes. You can fear rejection without abandoning what is true. Let the feeling exist long enough for you to understand it. Bring it to me before you build a decision around it. Say, Lord, I am afraid this is my last chance. Say, Lord, I am afraid of being alone. Say, Lord, I am afraid honesty will cost me something. I am not frightened by your honesty. The mistake I want to protect you from is not necessarily the person, the opportunity, or the conversation before you. The deeper danger is letting fear choose simply because fear promises an immediate end to discomfort. Beloved, perhaps this pause is not wasting time. Perhaps it is revealing what loneliness has been saying, what scarcity has been saying, and what rejection has been threatening. Once you can see what is driving you, you no longer have to obey it automatically. You can examine it. You can bring it to me. You can let wisdom stand beside it. My child, you may have believed that waiting means losing control. But what if this pause is where control begins returning? What if not yet does not mean never? What if waiting, when wisdom allows it, is not indecision at all? What if it is protection? That is what I want to show you next. Because sometimes waiting is where fear loses its authority, and wisdom finally becomes easier to hear. My child, waiting is not always indecision. Sometimes waiting is wisdom refusing to be rushed. You have been afraid that if you do not act now, something will disappear. A person may leave. An opportunity may close. A conversation may become harder. And because that possibility feels real, you have started treating every pause like a loss. But beloved, listen carefully. Not yet does not always mean never. Sometimes not yet simply means do not let fear finish a decision that wisdom has not finished examining. I am your Lord, and I do not need panic to guide you. I can lead you through clarity. I can meet you in uncertainty. I can teach you to move without letting desperation become your counselor. My child, you may have believed that strong people decide quickly. But speed and wisdom are not the same thing. There are moments when quick action is necessary. And there are moments when the wisest thing you can do is create enough space to understand what is happening inside you before you move. That pause is not weakness. It is discernment. Think about what you have already discovered. When loneliness becomes loud, going back feels more attractive. When scarcity rises, saying yes feels safer. When rejection feels possible, silence suddenly seems easier. But when the emotion changes, your certainty often changes with it. That tells you something important. Perhaps the option has not changed. Perhaps the part of you evaluating it has. Beloved, that is why I want you to stop asking only, "What should I choose?" Ask another question. What part of me is choosing right now? Is it the part of you that is grounded in truth? Or the part that is terrified of being alone? Is it wisdom examining what is real? Or scarcity whispering that this may be the last good thing you will ever receive? My child, the mistake is not always the option in front of you. Sometimes the mistake is letting panic become the part of you that chooses. That is the shift I want you to understand. You do not need to reject everything that makes you nervous. You do not need to wait until every fear disappears. Some healthy boundaries will still require courage. Some healthy boundaries will still feel uncomfortable. Some truthful conversations will still make your heart beat faster. The goal is not emotional perfection. The goal is to recognize whether fear is informing you or controlling you. Beloved, there is a difference. Fear can bring attention to something worth examining. It may tell you that you need more information. It may reveal a concern you should not ignore. But when fear begins demanding immediate relief, it often stops asking good questions. It simply wants the discomfort to end. That is where wisdom must step in. My child, perhaps you have been thinking, if I wait, I will lose my opportunity. But sometimes waiting reveals whether the opportunity can withstand honest examination. Perhaps you think, if I do not go back, I may lose this person forever. But sometimes distance is what allows you to see whether you miss the relationship itself or only the relief of not feeling alone. Maybe you think, if I speak honestly, I could lose their acceptance. But hiding what is true can create another loss, the slow loss of your own voice. This is why I do not want you choosing only between comfort and discomfort. Look deeper. Ask which choice allows you to remain aligned with truth. Beloved, you have sometimes mistaken relief for peace. Relief is immediate. It says, finally, I do not have to feel this anymore. Peace is deeper. Peace can exist even when some questions remain unanswered. It does not always remove tension instantly. Sometimes it gives you enough steadiness to stay present until the next step becomes clearer. My child, that distinction can protect you. You may say yes and feel instant relief because the decision is finally over. But later, the concerns you ignored may return. You may reconnect and feel less lonely for a night, while the unresolved pattern remains. You may stay silent and avoid conflict today, but resentment begins speaking tomorrow. Relief asks, how quickly can I stop this feeling? Wisdom asks, what choice can I live with when this feeling becomes quieter? Beloved, let that question stay with you. You do not have to answer it within seconds. You do not have to force yourself to hear a dramatic voice. You do not need a supernatural sign for every ordinary decision. Sometimes discernment grows through prayer, truth, facts, patterns, wise counsel, and enough stillness to recognize your motive. I am your Lord. I am not asking you to abandon reason in order to trust me. Bring your reason with your prayer. Bring the facts with your feelings. Bring the concern you cannot explain away. Bring the hope you are afraid to trust. Let all of it come into the light. My child, waiting can also expose what urgency was hiding. When you stop rushing, you may notice that you were not afraid of losing the opportunity itself. You were afraid of what losing it would say about you. Maybe, I am behind. I am unwanted. I have failed again, beloved. An outcome does not have the authority to define your worth. A closed opportunity cannot announce your value. Someone else's rejection cannot become your identity. And needing more time does not mean you are incapable of making a decision. This is how the pause becomes protection. Not because waiting guarantees a better outcome. It does not. Not because every delay comes directly from me, but because a pause can give you room to separate what is true from what fear is predicting. And once you see that difference, you can choose with greater honesty. My child, say this with me. Peace before decisions. Let it become your declaration. Not I will never feel afraid, but Lord, I will not give fear the final authority. If those words describe the choice you are making today, write peace before decisions in the comments. And if this message is helping you slow down enough to hear wisdom more clearly, you can like it as a simple expression of your desire to keep choosing faith over panic. Share it with someone who may be about to make an important choice simply because they are tired of uncertainty. And subscribe if you want to continue walking with me through prayer, healing, truth, and discernment. These actions do not earn my favor or guarantee that everything will unfold exactly as you hope. They simply become a way of saying, Lord, I want wisdom to lead me. Beloved, remember this before we move forward. Waiting is not always indecision. Sometimes it is the moment you stop running from discomfort long enough to understand what it has been trying to make you do. Sometimes it is where loneliness loses its urgency, where scarcity stops sounding like prophecy, where rejection stops having the power to silence you. And once fear is no longer holding the pen, you can begin writing the next step with clearer hands. My child, you do not need endless delay. There will be a time to choose. There will be a time to speak. There will be a time to move. But when that moment comes, I want you to move because wisdom has become clear enough, not because panic became loud enough. And now I want to show you how to recognize the difference. My child, now I want to show you how to move from fear into clearer discernment, because the answer is not to remain undecided forever. The pause has a purpose. It gives you room to discover what has been driving you so that when you move, you are not simply running away from discomfort. Beloved, begin here. Pause. Name the fear. Then test the choice. Do not begin by asking, how do I make this feeling disappear? Ask, what am I actually afraid will happen? Be specific. Are you afraid of being alone? Are you afraid this opportunity will never come again? Are you afraid someone will reject you if you finally speak honestly? Maybe the fear is regret. Maybe it is embarrassment. Maybe it is starting over. My child, fear becomes easier to examine when you give it a name. A vague feeling can control an entire decision. A named fear can be brought into the light. So tell me plainly, Lord, I am afraid I will be alone. Lord, I am afraid I will miss my chance. You do not need to make your fear sound spiritual before you bring it to me. I am your Lord. Bring me the truth as it is. Then ask another question. What is this fear trying to make me do? This is where discernment becomes practical. If loneliness is strong, maybe it is pushing you to reopen a door before you have honestly examined why it closed. If scarcity is strong, maybe it is pushing you to accept terms you would question if you felt more secure. If rejection is strong, maybe it is teaching you to hide your needs so someone else will remain comfortable. Beloved, do not judge yourself when you recognize these patterns. Recognition is not condemnation. Recognition gives you choice. Now test the decision. Ask yourself, if this fear became quiet for 1 hour, would I still choose this? Do not force an answer. Simply imagine yourself without the panic. Would you still want to go back? Would you still want to say yes? Would you still believe silence is the wisest response? My child, then ask, what do the facts actually tell me? Not only the feeling, not only the hope, not only the worst case scenario. What is actually true? Look at patterns. Look at what has consistently happened, not only what you wish would happen. Look at the terms of the opportunity. Look at whether your values are being compromised. Look at whether trust has been supported by behavior. Look at whether your silence is protecting peace or merely avoiding rejection. Beloved, prayer does not require you to ignore reality. I am your Lord, and wisdom can work through truth, facts, patterns, scripture, mature counsel, and honest reflection. You do not need to choose between faith and clear thinking. Bring both to me. There may also be someone wise you need to speak with. Not someone who only tells you what makes you feel better. Not someone who immediately feeds your fear. Choose someone mature enough to ask you difficult questions without shaming you. Someone who can say, I understand why you are afraid, and still help you examine whether fear is controlling your answer. My child, wise counsel does not replace your responsibility. It helps you see what emotion may be hiding. Then give yourself permission to wait when waiting is reasonable. Perhaps the decision can sit overnight. Perhaps you can gather more information. Perhaps you can step away from the phone for several hours instead of checking repeatedly for another sign. Beloved, time does not solve every decision, but sometimes a little distance allows your emotional temperature to change enough for you to hear yourself more honestly. When the panic softens, notice what remains. A concern that remains may deserve attention. A boundary that still feels important may need to be honored. A desire that remains steady may be worth exploring further. My child, this is not about waiting until you feel absolutely certain. You may never receive perfect certainty. Some decisions are made with incomplete information. Some steps require courage before comfort arrives. The goal is not, I feel no fear. The goal is, fear is no longer the only voice deciding. Beloved, when clarity becomes sufficient, choose. Do not turn the pause into another hiding place. There is a time to wait, and there is a time to move. If you know enough to act responsibly, then move with humility. If you need to say no, say it clearly. If you need to say yes, let the yes come from conviction rather than desperation. If you need to speak honestly, speak with grace instead of trying to control how the other person responds. And if wisdom shows you that more time is genuinely needed, let not yet be enough for today. My child, remember something important. If there is a genuine emergency, immediate safety concern, serious medical matter, legal deadline, abuse, threat, or situation where delay could create harm, do not use this message as a reason to avoid necessary action. Seek appropriate help. Act responsibly. Faith is not passivity. Wisdom recognizes when something truly requires urgency, and when panic is creating urgency that reality does not require. Beloved, I am restoring something deeper in you through this process. Not simply the ability to make one decision. I am restoring trust. Trust that you can feel uncertainty without collapsing. Trust that you can lose an opportunity and still remain whole. Trust that another person's rejection does not decide your worth. Trust that you can survive disappointment without allowing the fear of disappointment to govern your life. You are learning that you do not have to control every outcome in order to move wisely. That is freedom. My child, say this now. I will choose from peace. Let it become your declaration before me. Not because every decision will feel easy, but because you are refusing to let panic become your counselor. And if that is what you are choosing today, like this message as a simple expression of your desire to keep placing your decisions before me, share it with someone who may be standing under pressure and needs permission to slow down before fear decides for them. And subscribe to continue walking with this community through prayer, scripture, healing, discernment, and deeper trust in me. These actions do not earn my favor. They do not guarantee that every outcome will unfold the way you hope. They simply express, Lord, I want to keep choosing with you. Beloved, you may still feel uncertainty after this. That is all right. You do not need to eliminate every question before taking the next faithful step. You only need enough honesty to know what fear is saying, enough clarity to recognize what truth supports, and enough courage to move when wisdom becomes clear. I am your Lord. Bring me the loneliness. Bring me the scarcity. Bring me the fear of rejection. And when panic begins shouting again, do not immediately obey it. Return to what you know. Return to truth. Return to me. Because the final challenge will not always be making the decision. Sometimes the challenge is protecting your peace when fear returns later and tries to convince you that waiting has already cost you too much. My child, before you leave this moment, I want you to guard what you have received, because fear may return. Tomorrow, urgency may whisper again, you are running out of time. You are losing your chance. You should have decided already. Do not mistake the return of anxiety for new guidance. A feeling becoming loud again does not make it more true. Beloved, comparison may also try to hurry you. You may look at someone else's life and think they are moving faster, finding love sooner, receiving opportunities you are still waiting for. Then panic begins creating a timeline I never asked you to carry. I am your Lord. You do not need to race someone else's life in order to remain faithful in your own. And when the old fear returns, remember what you have learned. You do not have to go back simply because loneliness speaks again. You do not have to say yes simply because an opportunity feels scarce. You do not have to silence your truth simply because rejection is possible. Come close to me now. Let us pray. Lord, I bring you the decisions I cannot fully understand yet. Quiet the panic that makes everything feel urgent. Give me peace when uncertainty feels heavy. Give me clarity to recognize what is true and what fear is predicting. Give me wisdom to know when to wait and courage to move when the time is right. When loneliness tries to choose for me, remind me that loneliness is a feeling, not my master. When scarcity tells me this is my last chance, help me examine what is true before I react. When rejection frightens me into silence, give me grace to speak honestly without trying to control the outcome. Lord, I surrender my need to know everything before I trust you. Teach me to choose from wisdom, not panic. And when I cannot see the whole road, help me take the next faithful step. My child, now I want you to tell me what you need most. Write these 3 words in the comments: peace, clarity, wisdom. Let them become the prayer of your heart, not a demand for an instant answer. A declaration that you want my presence to shape the way you choose. And if you are choosing faith over panic today, like this message as a simple expression of that decision. Share it with someone who may be standing at a crossroads and needs permission to slow down before fear speaks for them. And subscribe to continue walking with this community through prayer, truth, healing, discernment, and deeper trust in me. These actions do not earn my favor. They do not guarantee a specific answer or outcome. They simply express, Lord, I want to keep walking with you. Beloved, you may not leave this moment knowing exactly what to choose, but you can leave knowing something just as important. You do not have to make a permanent decision simply because a temporary emotion is loud. So hold your peace, tell the truth, examine the fear, wait when wisdom says wait, move when clarity becomes sufficient. And remember this, the mistake is not always the choice in front of you. Sometimes the mistake is letting panic become the part of you that chooses. I am your Lord. Stay close to me, and when it is time to choose, choose with wisdom, not with fear.